EVA Unit-1 Berserk Mode. When EVA Unit-1 goes berserk, it stops acting like a robot and starts acting like a wild animal. We're talking full-blown rage mode, howling, breaking off restraints, and fighting with brutal primal power. Nobody really knows how it works. It doesn't need power, it ignores the pilot, and it seems to move on its own, like it's alive. The first time Unit-1 went berserk was during its fight with the angel Sachio. Shinji, piloting the EVA, had blacked out, but the EVA got up on its own and tore into the angel like a beast. And this wasn't a one-time thing. It happened again in later fights, like against Lelio and Zerwo. Even when EVA's power was completely drained, it just kept moving and fighting like something was possessing it. And, in a way, it was. As you might know, these EVAs aren't just giant robots, they have souls inside them. Unit-1 has the soul of Shinji's mom, Yui Ikari. It's hinted that she takes control when EVA goes berserk, especially to protect her son. Nerve, the organization behind the EVAs, is terrified of this berserk state. They try hard to keep the EVAs restrained at all times because when one loses control, it can be just as dangerous as the enemy. The berserk mode isn't something that scientists can trigger or recreate reliably. Even advanced tech like the dummy system and beast mode, which try to mimic the berserk's power, don't come close because they don't involve the EVA's soul taking over. In the end of Evangelion, Unit-1 moves by itself again, sets off a massive energy blast, and even grows wings of light. In Evangelion 2.0, it goes wild again against the 10th angel, this time showing off some seriously insane abilities like firing lasers from its eyes, growing a new arm from its force field, and even glowing like a god. It absorbs the angel, turns into a massive energy being, and nearly triggers the end of the world before it's stopped by another EVA spear. Even though other units like Unit 0, Unit 2, Unit 3, and some in alternate timelines or spin-offs have had berserk moments, none of them hit the same level as Unit 1. Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann is straight up one of the most over-the-top god-tier mechs in anime history. It shows up in the final battle of the series and is built from pure spiral power, not even metal or machinery like other mechs. This thing is powered by willpower, determination, and the combined belief of Team Dai Gurren. It's technically not a regular robot, it's a higher dimensional entity made from energy and emotion. That's why it doesn't have a real size, but if it did, it would be somewhere between 5.28 billion and 126 billion light years tall. Yeah, you heard that right. It's so big it makes galaxies look like marbles. It's the third largest mecha in all of anime, only behind its own final form, Super Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, and the Super Grand Zaboma. The main cockpit is in the head, where Simon and Nia sit, and the rest of the team is scattered around the body. Viral's in the torso, Yoko's in the shoulder or shin, Leoron's in the hip, and the rest are packed into the limbs. The chest face even wears a pair of non-functional sunglasses, just for the attitude. Its stomach is literally biting down on the head of Lagann, with Lord Genome inside, who powers up the mecha by sacrificing himself at the quantum level. That move lets them survive a cosmic attack stronger than the birth of the universe. As far as powers go, Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann is completely cracked. It can shoot drills out of its entire body, swing enemies around like ragdolls using giant ropes and hooks, and even form galaxy-sized versions of weapons like Yoko's sniper rifle. One of its coolest attacks is the "I've got the best wife in the universe" swing, where Dayaka and Gabal wrap up an enemy mecha, and then the whole thing gets flung across space. It also uses probability alteration missiles, which pretty much bend the rules of reality to make sure they hit. And let's not forget the fist barrage from the movie, where the mecha just launches a ridiculous number of punches at once. Basically, everything about this mech screams final boss energy, except it's on the hero side. EVA Unit-2 Beast Mode. Beast Mode is basically a combat override that removes all the safety limiters and lets the unit go wild. It gives Unit 2 more power, speed, and raw aggression, but it also puts the pilot in serious danger. Its body transforms to match, with parts of it shifting and mutating into beast-like features. The first time we see Beast Mode is in Evangelion 2.0, during the fight with the 10th angel. Mari, who's piloting Unit 2, activates it with the phrase Invert Mode, secret code, the Beast. That triggers Eva's transformation. The shoulder pylons pop off, the body stretches out, and the head changes into a reptilian shape with huge jaws and sharp uniform teeth. The internal lights in the cockpit also turn red. Even though the EVA still runs on battery power, its speed and ability to punch through AT fields go way up. Mari starts acting more animal-like too. It clearly pushes her to the edge, and the risk is high. Her eyes glow green, and she even dips into a dangerous mental state called negative plug depth, which could make her lose her humanity if pushed too far. In Evangelion 3.0, Beast Mode comes back, this time with Asuka piloting a new version called Unit Unit-2 Gamma. The transformation is more extreme here. It sprouts a long tail, the legs become more like a dog or cat's with digitigrade joints, and its mouth extends into a deadly set of fangs. Asuka uses it in a high-stakes battle against the Mark IX, which had taken over the AAA Wonder Ship. Unit 2 goes full beast, biting into the enemy and tearing through it with ridiculous strength. Getter Emperor. Getter Emperor is the final evolved form of Getter Robo, and by the time it shows up in Getter Robo Arc, it's grown so massive that it can literally crush stars. Yeah, not just beat enemies, crush stars. Getter Emperor doesn't have a clear gender or race, and it doesn't take orders from anyone. It's pretty much a godlike machine doing its own thing out in space, always evolving and getting stronger. Getter Emperor is made from 3 huge battleships from the Getter fleet. These ships are the Emperor Eagle, Emperor Jaguar, and Emperor Bear, each forming a part of the massive machine. Together, they create the Getter Emperor, and its combined energy is so intense that it could wipe out an entire small galaxy. It's said to carry the memory of Ryoma Nagare, a key character from earlier Getter Robo stories, which adds a cool twist. Like the machine itself remembers past pilots and battles as it keeps changing. In the story, characters like Takuma Nagare, Shokamui, and Bakyu Yamagishi get sent into the future and see Getter Emperor firsthand. At one point, the Getter Arc mecha is just floating through space after a huge battle, and the Emperor's Eagle ship shows up, grabs it, and pulls it inside. While inside the Getter Emperor, they witness something called the Getter Mandala, which looks like a crazy, powerful system or energy source tied to how the Emperor works. Baku even decides to stay inside the Emperor to study it more deeply, while Takuma gets sent back to Earth. Gunbuster. Gunbuster is created by combining 2 machines. Buster Machine 1, piloted by Noriko Takaya, and Buster Machine 2, piloted by Kazumi Amano. Noriko mainly handles the actual movements of the mecha, while Kazumi manages the more technical stuff. Because it's a combo unit, Gunbuster has 2 degeneracy generators instead of 1, giving it insane power output and the ability to pull off galaxy-shaking attacks. At first glance, Gunbuster looks like a humanoid robot, but there are a lot of cool details packed in. Its design is loaded with nods to samurai armor, especially the head that looks like a kabuto helmet with a gold crest. The arms are giant cylinders that store deadly weapons, and the legs have tank-like treads tipped with spikes, useful for its signature Super Inazuma kick. Even its cape is weaponized, acting as a shield and also referencing classic mechas like Getter Robo. In its very first real fight, Noriko had to jump into the unfinished unit to protect her squad from an ambush. With only 10 minutes of reserve power, she managed to blast through hundreds of enemy units and took down a flagship by using the inertial canceller, which can literally stop anything in its path. Later on, Gunbuster was fully upgraded with new weapons like homing lasers, missile fingers, and that shield cape combo. Its missions only got more dangerous, like escorting a ship carrying a black hole bomb straight into the middle of the enemy fleet. And yeah, that bomb went off, wiping out a massive chunk of the galaxy along with most of the space monsters. Gunbuster can shoot lasers from its forehead, Buster Beam, stab enemies with electricity-charged rods, Buster Collider, fire homing lasers and missiles, and even do a baseball-style attack called Buster Home Run, where it hits an energy ball with a bat and it turns into a mini black hole on impact. And it has a giant axe, an energy lasso, yo-yos with buzzsaws, and a move called Buster Cowboy. Most of the moves are shouted out loud as part of the whole 80s anime vibe, which makes them feel even more intense. One of the most insane parts of Gunbuster's story is the ending. After one final suicide mission to kickstart a massive bomb, Gunbuster had to escape the explosion while dealing with time dilation, meaning it returned to Earth thousands of years later with only its upper body remaining. Despite the damage, it made it back. Valvrave I Hito. Valvrave I Hito from Kakumeki Valvrave is a humanoid war machine built by GOR under a top-secret program called the Triple V Plan. The first thing you see when booting it up is a screen asking, "Do you resign as a human being?" Say yes, and boom, you're no longer fully human. The pilot gets injected with something that turns them into a Magius, a being with regenerative powers and the creepy ability to jack into other people's bodies. If you're not compatible, the injection melts you. The original pilot Haruto Tokishima basically signed away his humanity to save his friends and unlock this monster of a machine. Later on, his friend Shoko Sashinami takes over, but piloting this thing comes at a cost. It runs on something called runes, which are basically the pilot's memories. If you push it too far without feeding it, literally, it starts draining your mind until you're just gone. In combat, Valvrave I is built for close-range destruction, but has enough versatility to handle mid-range too. Its main ranged weapon is the Volk Arm, which can switch between rapid-fire shots and huge blasts, and it never runs out of ammo because it pulls energy straight from the Rave engine. It does overheat though, so there are cooling barrels that eject mid-fight. When the Rave engine overheats to its limit, meter hits 666, Valvrave I goes full berserk mode. It covers itself in flames and unleashes a seppuku-style move that can wipe out entire fleets. It's named after the Japanese ritual suicide technique because it literally stabs itself to activate the blast. Tsugumori. Tsugumori is a heavily modified Type 17 guard that was first piloted by the legendary Hiroki Saito during the 4th Ghana Defense War. After the war, this machine was retired and put on display at the SDF Academy like a war trophy, but that didn't last forever. When Nagate Tanikaze showed up, basically the only guy trained on older models, Captain Kobayashi brought Tsugumori back into action. Tsugumori was built by Toha Heavy Industries and upgraded specifically for an ace pilot, so it's far from a standard model. Even though newer Garde models, Type 18s, are more high-tech and easier to use, Tsugumori is still superior when handled by a skilled pilot. That's because it relies more on manual control, allowing for precise and deadly movements. Tsugumori is loaded with weapons. The High Goose Particle Cannon is a long-range beam that melts through the outer layer of Ghana creatures, exposing their core so it can be destroyed. It drains energy fast though. For close combat, each arm is armed with high-vibration blades, which light up with energy and slice through enemy tentacles like butter. There's also a Gatling gun that unloads thousands of high-speed rounds, great for shredding enemy defenses in seconds. One of its coolest weapons is the Aishin Sakuretsudan, or spherical detonation ammo. These missiles bury themselves into an enemy's outer shell and then explode inside. There's also the ballistic acceleration device, basically a massive railgun that works like a sniper rifle. It's so powerful the recoil can knock the pilot off course, but it can wipe out Ghana from a distance. Tsugumori can also recharge in space using its Hygus particle collection system, which looks like a pair of transparent wings. It's not super efficient, it takes 11 days just to recharge 10%, but in emergencies, that tiny bit of energy could mean the difference between life and death, and like all Gardas, it uses a kabizashi, a spear with a special tip for stabbing the Ghana's core. The Tsugumori isn't just famous for its gear, it holds the record for most Ghana kills. RahXephon. RahXephon is a godlike machine with serious destructive power. It was discovered in the underground ruins of Tokyo, literally born from an egg. It doesn't have visible weapons hanging off it like most mechs do. Everything about it looks clean and smooth, but when it gets into battle, things get wild fast. RahXephon doesn't work like a typical mech with joysticks and buttons. It connects directly to Ayato's mind and emotions. It copies his movements, and when the RahXephon gets hurt, Ayato feels it too. So if it takes a hit to the shoulder, Ayato ends up grabbing his shoulder in pain. That bond makes it crazy effective in battle because it reacts instantly, but it also makes it dangerous. Ayato can even summon the RahXephon by calling for it with his voice. RahXephon wasn't built just to fight enemies. It was created by Ernst von Babem to retune the world. That means this mech has the power to literally reshape reality itself once it links up with an instrumentalist, in this case Ayato. The Mark Nicht. Mark Nicht is the second Salvator model from Sokyu no Fafnir. Built as a fully developed combat unit, its first test pilot was Yuki Korea, but it gets stolen by the mysterious Edon before it ever sees standard service. The moment it shows up over Tatsumiyajima Island, it proves just how deadly it is. Fafnir mechs fire at it, but have zero effect. Mark Nicht responds by vaporizing the Babylon model and badly damaging Mark Ein, then spreads the Festum life form throughout the Siegfried Systems network, even blasting apart Mark Sieben with its signature weapon, the Luger Lance. When Mark Ein's backup Fenrir program ejects its cockpit in a last-ditch effort, Mark Nicht coolly grabs it mid-air and slams it into Mark Ein's head, only walking away with minor damage from the resulting blast. No one can stop it, so it simply retreats and vanishes. In Exodus, Sushi Minashiro and his teammate try to cross with Mark Nicht to take it apart, but Sushi backs off, seeing how dangerous and unstable it is. YF-19. The YF-19 from Macross Plus was built by Shinsei Industries. It's a next-gen prototype variable fighter developed as part of Project Supernova, competing directly with the YF-21. The YF-19 wasn't just a pretty face. It packed insane speed, firepower, and advanced tech that gave it a serious edge. Piloted by Isamu Alva Dyson, this machine was a beast in both atmosphere and space. We're talking Mach 5.1 at high altitudes, and even capable of hitting Mach 21 plus when flying above 30,000 meters. It could literally launch into orbit over Earth-like planets on its own, no help needed. It could transform between three forms: fighter, gerwalk, a half-plane, half-mech hybrid, and Batroid, full mecha mode, in a flash. Its transformation time was 20% faster than its predecessor, the VF-11 Thunderbolt, which might not sound like a big deal until you're mid-battle and milliseconds count. Unlike older fighters, its cockpit was stored deep inside the body in Batroid mode, giving the pilot more protection in close combat. It came with a GU-15 external Gatling gun pod, anti-aircraft laser turrets, energy cannons, missile pallets, micro-missile clusters, and even a bulletproof shield that carried spare ammo. For extra power, it could equip a fast pack with beam cannons, large bore guns, and more missiles. Plus, it had a pinpoint barrier system, a kind of mobile energy shield that moved around the mech to block incoming shots. The only downside? It used 60% of the fighter's power, so it couldn't be used in fighter mode. Still, it gave the YF-19 a strong edge in defense when things got rough. Now, this mecha wasn't easy to handle. It took 7 different test pilots before Shinsei stuck with Isamu, who had the guts and skills to bring out its full potential. Even though many thought the design was too old school compared to the tech-heavy YF-21, the YF-19 consistently outperformed its rival in real combat tests. Things came to a head during the Sharon Apple incident, a massive event where Isamu stole the YF-19 to stop the rollout of an AI-powered fighter, the X-9 Ghost. A wild 3-way fight broke out between Isamu Gould in the YF-21 and the X-9. After all the chaos, only the YF-19 was left standing. Zinvi. Zinv is a super old, crazy, powerful machine that's been around for over 1 billion years, if you count its appearance in Tenchi Muyo Jek-P. Originally from Duo Parallel Trouble Adventure, Zinv is not your typical mecha. It's actually a royal tree that got turned into a robot body, and it's powered by a first-generation royal tree seed. That alone makes it way more powerful than most mechas in anime. In the story, Zinvi starts off buried on Earth after a group of colonists crash-landed there. The group split up over time. Some wanted to go back to nature and ditch tech, others wanted to keep advancing. In the middle of all this, D, a key character, steals Zinv to stop the war between the groups, but fails. After everyone wipes each other out, she puts herself and Zinvi in suspended animation until they're discovered again way later. The robot stays hidden until Kazuki Yotsuga, a teenager who's actually a reincarnated version of Zinv, awakens it during a war. Yeah, Zinv may have become a human at one point just to survive. Zinvi can throw out gravitational attacks and move at insane speeds. It has a nano repair system too, so it can heal itself mid-fight. When Kazuki unlocks Zinva's full power, it creates a black hole and wipes out an enemy fortress like it's nothing. It made a black hole and still survived the explosion afterward. It regenerated at the bottom of the ocean and came back even stronger. In Tenchi Muyo, Zinvi is found again by another main character, Seina Yamada, and goes on to fight even more powerful enemies, including people who dissect living beings cloned from another character. Zinvi is so powerful it even fuses with a spaceship, Kamidake II, and forms Lighthawk wings again, this time without help from any external power like a bonded royal tree. That shouldn't even be possible, but Zinvi just does it. Zinvi plays defense, keeping Earth's military away from secret alien battles. It's not always the flashiest in every scene, but when it shows up, it changes the whole game. Ideon. Ideon from Space Runaway Ideon is hands down one of the scariest mechas ever put on screen. This thing isn't just big, it's massive. But it's not just the size that makes Ideon dangerous. What sets it apart is its mysterious origin and the insane power it holds, especially when it goes full-on apocalypse mode. The Ideon wasn't even built by humans. It was discovered on the planet Solo, a place once home to an alien race known as the Sixth Civilization. Humans found what looked like 3 regular trucks, Sol Amber, Sol Vainer, and Sol Conver, buried in ancient ruins. But once those trucks were activated, they combined by themselves into the giant humanoid mecha, Ideon. That's when things got serious. The humans had no clue what they were dealing with, and even the aliens that attacked them, the Buff Clan, weren't ready for what Ideon could do. Each of the 3 vehicles can also act as their own battle machines, Ideo Delta, Ideo Nova, and Ideo Buster. While that's cool, nothing matches the full power of Ideon when it's combined. Once Mechanic Jolliver Ira starts adding weapons like missile launchers and Glen cannons, Ideon turns into a rolling tank, but even those are just basic stuff compared to its real powers. Ideon's real weapons are next level insane. It has the Ideon Sword, which is a giant energy blade that can cut through basically anything. Then there's the Ideon Wave Gun, which fires huge blasts of destructive energy. It can generate mini black holes. Yeah, it makes black holes in battle. That's not even something most enemies can counter. It just deletes anything in the blast zone. But the most terrifying part is how it's powered, the Aid. This mysterious force gets stronger the more danger the pilots are in, and if pushed far enough, it can literally wipe out entire civilizations. That's exactly what happens in the movie Ideon Be Invoked. When the final battle between Ideon and the Buff Clan escalates, both sides push their weapons to the limit. Ideon ends up going so far beyond that it triggers a full universe-wide reset. We're talking total destruction. Everyone dies, and the Ide Force basically restarts life.